Hello, hello, hello. Goddamn, it is like 9 a.m. Monday, today, April 26th. Normally I release these episodes, I record these episodes a couple days before I release them. Give me a chance to work on them, but due to extenuating circumstances and honestly general laziness, I didn't get a chance to record on Thursday. It was my last day off. No, Friday. I didn't get a chance to record on Friday, which is my last day off. And now I'm recording the Monday that I released the episode. Yay. Ladies, you can probably hear it in my voice. I'm fucking exhausted. I've been exhausted the last couple of days. Tomorrow's my day off. I'm probably going to get a haircut. But truth be told, I'm just a little tired. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sports Report of the SJP Files. I am your host, SJP. And today we're going to tackle a host of issues pertaining to good God, the NBA and the NFL. I was going to talk about, football, the world's most popular sport, but honestly, I like to watch it occasionally, but the news, the minutia of the game, the goings on between all the teams in Europe isn't something that interests me on a regular basis. So if you were expecting to hear about the Super League or the fall of the Super League, you're not. Because honestly, I don't really know what happened, and frankly, I don't actually care. It's one of those things that soccer is just not one of the sports that like grabs me. I watch soccer like maybe once. I sometimes keep abreast of situations, but honestly, like I said, I watch like around World Cup time. That's when I pay attention. Other than that, could care less. All that being said, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be covering, Aldon Smiths warrant in the NFL. His warrant was issued. I don't know if he turned himself in. We're going to be covering, Justin Fields' epilepsy. The Nets' chances for championships. Chiefs' outstanding trade. James Harden's thigh injury. Anthony Davis's return. Kevin Durant's return from his thigh injury. And that's pretty much going to be it for today. I might cover a couple of other things depending on what blows up in the next, hour or so. But let's start out with the Aldon Smith arrest warrant. Let's see. Arrest warrant issued for Louisiana. Arrest warrant issued in Louisiana for Seahawks Aldon Smith. Sheriff's Office in Louisiana has issued a warrant for the arrest of Seattle Seahawks defensive end Aldon Smith. Let's see. St. Bernard's Parish Sheriff's deputies responding to a call for medical assistance on Saturday evening found a man who said he had been assaulted by an acquaintance outside business in Chalmette. Sheriff James, I have no idea, said Monday in a post on the agency's Facebook page, detectives identified the suspect as Smith, 31, and took out a warrant for second-degree battery. Ooh. Jesus Christ. Seahawks issued a statement. We are aware of the reports regarding Aldon Smith. Alden notified us, and we are gathering more information. We have no further comment at the time. Incident took place 2 days after Alden signed a 1-year contract with the Seattle Seahawks. He appeared in, he played 16 games last season, 48 tackles, 5 sacks for the Dallas Cowboys. 7th overall. Let's see. Aldon Smith has been in and out of trouble essentially since he got into the NFL in, 2014? No, 2012. No, 2011, sorry. Drafted 7th overall by the San Francisco 49ers, recorded 14 sacks. As a rookie, he was an All-Pro in 2012. when he had 19 and a half sacks and the 49ers hit the Super Bowl. He's had 44 sacks in the first 50 games in 4 seasons in San Francisco. Like I said, in and out of trouble. He got a 1-year ban in 2014. No, he was first suspended in 2014. Received a 1-year ban in 2015 with the Raiders. He applied for reinstatement in 2016, which was technically denied. Oakland retains his contractual rights, and then they released him in 2018 after he was issued after the San Francisco police issued a warrant for his arrest in a domestic violence case. I mean, this guy, like, in and out of trouble with the law. Apparently can't seem to keep his hands to himself. Just stays beating up. Just stay beating the hell out of people. This is a classic NFL. This is the classic, very, very classic NFL. This is what happens when this is what happens when you have talent. That's all it is, man. The more talented you are, the more chances you get. The guy's been in and out of trouble with the law. This is his second time having a warrant issued for his arrest. This is his second time he's been accused of beating up people. First time was for domestic violence. This one's assault and battery. Or is it battery? I think it's assault and battery, or not just second degree battery. But, I mean, come on. Sorry. Like I said, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm exhausted. But this guy he's a troublemaker. He's still going to get another shot because he's only, he's 30. He's only 31 years old. And he's been, 44 sacks in 50 games. That's immense talent. 19 and a half sacks his second year. As a sophomore, 14 sacks as a rookie. I mean, there's no way he's not going to get multiple chances. And I think this may be his last chance. Because if this goes down poorly, the Seattle Seahawks could cut ties with him. And if they cut ties with him, he's done in the NFL. I think he's just too much trouble right now. Too big of a headache. Too big of a headache for any team to really risk taking a serious chance on him and not doing their due diligence on this guy and making sure he's completely out of trouble before they even consider giving him a contract. Enough about Aldon Smith. Next, Justin Fields. Now, if you've been listening to the show, you know how much I love Justin Fields and how much I think he should be, without question, the number 2 overall pick. Actually, the number 3 overall pick is I don't want him going to the Jets. I would not wish that on my worst enemy. And I like Justin. I really like Justin Fields, so I wouldn't wish the Jets on anyone. I would not subject him to the horror that is the New York Jets. But with that being said, we may have a reason as to why Justin Fields has been slipping so far in the NFL draft. Justin Fields has essentially dealing with epilepsy. Hold on. Sorry about that. There he is. Sorry about that. Justin Fields has essentially been dealing with epilepsy the entirety of his life. It's a genetic condition that he inherited from his family that, according to him, most people in his family kind of grow out of once they pass a certain age. But apparently his symptoms get shorter and less frequent over time. So as long as he takes his medication, he doesn't have seizures. From what I understand, it's never affected him in college, and he probably has no intention of letting it, affect him in the NFL. The only thing that could According to medical officials, a concussion could put him at greater risk. No documented absences from games from his college career. Yo, he's the guy. He's still the guy. I do not care about the epilepsy. If this is something that had disrupted his career at Alabama or in high school at any given time, then I'd be worried. Not Alabama, Ohio State. At any time, I would be worried. And then I could understand him falling. But honestly, don't care. I don't care at all, because to me, it has not affected him in the least. Hasn't affected him. He's still the Heisman Trophy winner. He's been the number 2 prospect in his class since high school. It's been him and Trevor Lawrence at the top of the class, and then everybody else. And then when we hit the draft and we hit this ridiculous process, you've got Trevor Lawrence at 1. Zach Wilson is essentially guaranteed to be the 2nd overall pick. That's it. They're the 2 top guys right now, which makes no sense to me. But, I hope Zach Wilson does well in New York. I don't think he will, because that team is a mess, always has been a mess, and will remain a mess forever. Then we have San Francisco 49ers, who should take Justin Fields, but apparently they're trying to decide between whether to take Mac Jones or Trey Lance. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I do not understand. First of all, 49ers trading up to 3 to get Mac Jones is ridiculous, because you could have stayed at 6 and he'd have been there. If the San Francisco 49ers truly traded up to get Mac Jones, it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense, because at 6, nobody in front of you is taking a quarterback. If the Dolphins had been at 3, they've got Tua. They're not taking a quarterback. The Atlanta Falcons are tied financially to Matty Ice, so they're not taking a quarterback. The Cincinnati Bengals already have their quarterback in Joe Burrow, so they're not taking a quarterback. So the real question is, unless you were afraid somebody else was going to trade up to get Justin Fields or trade up to get Mac Jones, that's the only way this makes sense. You heard rumblings that somebody else might trade up into that 3rd spot to get Mac Jones. It makes no goddamn sense, because he was going, if you really wanted Mac Jones, you could have waited till 6 to get him. So I think they're going to take Justin Fields. I 100% think they're going to take Justin Fields. But I don't see how you kind of justify trading up that high to get Mac Jones when Mac Jones was kind of like at the beginning of the year, because one of the reasons, probably because of his predecessors at Alabama, a guy who's probably going to go at the bottom of the 2nd round, at the bottom of the 1st round, or maybe in the middle of the 1st round. If you really wanted him to go 6, he'd have gone. If you really wanted him, he would have been there at 6. So trading up to get him makes no sense. So I don't think they're actually going to take Mac Jones. I think they're going to take Justin Fields, or at least I hope they're going to take Justin Fields. Number 4, Kyle Pitts. Number 5, offensive tackle. I'm not pronouncing that dude's name. Jamar Chase at number 6 to the Dolphins. Number 7 are the Lions. They're probably not taking a quarterback. They probably want to see what they've got in. If Justin Fields is at 7, they might take him, or it's another team, or they might use the pick to trade back. I got a mock draft on NFL.com. The Broncos trading up to 7 to get him, which would be great for the Broncos, because they have a terrible, absolutely terrible quarterback room. Chicago Bears trading up to 8 to get Trey Lance. That would be interesting. I think they would very much need it. Now, if the Bears traded up to 3 That would have made perfect sense. Trey Lance, a lot of people love this kid's, his arm, his potential. Like I said, I'm not the biggest college football fan, so I don't know much about this kid. We've got Micah Parsons at 9, Patrick Surtain at 10. The Dallas Cowboys seem to be very high on either Patrick Surtain or Kyle Pitts. I'm completely fine with that. I think the Dallas Cowboys either need defense or a tight end on offense. So them taking Patrick Surtain makes sense. I wouldn't be shocked if they try to move up to get Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is most likely going 4. He'll be the first non-quarterback taken. He will most likely go 4. But if the Cowboys traded up, I wouldn't be surprised. That's pretty much it that's the top 10 right there. I'm not going to spend much time going any deeper than that. Now that we've kind of gotten the NFL out the way, the NFL draft time isn't kind of like my favorite time. The NFL draft, like the first round of the draft, I love the draft itself, but the preparation into the draft kind of irritates me a bit. It's so much whining in this and that, and then, oh my God, it's this guy here. Is this guy going to go there? I mean, guys who at the end of the season were slotted to go certain places. Now, if the guy moves up in the draft because of workouts, that's, understandable. But a guy who is who before the season was slotted to go 3rd, to go into like the bottom of the first round, and now he's slotted to go in the top 5. That's the type of shit that irritates the hell out of me. It makes no sense to me. It legitimately makes no sense. I don't understand how that type of nonsense really happens. It's so weird. It's so completely just strange to the point where I'm not gonna lie, it kind of irritates me. It's one of those things that really, really irritates me about this type of nonsense about the NFL draft. That being said, we're going to take a short break to hear from our sponsor at Anchor. And when we get back, we're going to start in on James Harden setback. Not to mention, we're going to take a look at the playoff picture in the NBA. We've only got about a week or 2 left. LeBron James is scheduled to come back next week. Anthony Davis is back. Kevin Durant had a thigh bruise, thigh contusion, whatever it actually was. He's back on a minutes restrictions. James Harden most likely is going to miss the rest of the regular season. The Phoenix Suns and the Brooklyn Nets went toe-to-toe last night. Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant showed out. Boston Celtics lost to the Charlotte Hornets. I'll talk about them. And the Washington Wizards are the hottest team in the NBA. We'll be back momentarily.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is SJP, the host of the SJP Files. Have you heard about Anchor? If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Once again, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Now, last segment, I did say that we were kind of done with draft talk, but unfortunately, I forgot about the Chiefs trading for standout offensive tackle Orlando Brown from the Ravens. Brown is, Chiefs get Orlando Brown, a 2021 second round pick, number 58, and a 2022 sixth round pick. The Ravens get this year's number one pick, this year's first round pick, number 31 overall, this year's third, number 94, this year's fourth, number 136, and a 2025th round pick. And the Chiefs get a standout defensive tackle to protect Patrick Mahomes. And this was, I think, a really, really good trade for the Chiefs. The Chiefs lost that Super Bowl because they could not protect Patrick Mahomes. And Orlando Brown is one of the most steady offensive tackles in the NFL, protecting Lamar Jackson now. The Ravens trading away a standout O-tackle when you're a quarterback, well, I can kind of understand it because Lamar Jackson isn't exactly a pocket passer. And Patrick Mahomes is. And with the way these two guys play so differently, I'm not surprised that the Ravens would trade Orlando Brown. But for the Chiefs, the reason they lost that Super Bowl, man, they couldn't protect Patrick Mahomes. They could not protect Patrick Mahomes from that Tampa Bay front seven, and actually front four, not even front seven, the front four. The linebackers did their job in coverage, and so did the safeties and corners. But it was that front four that was in Patrick Mahomes' face all night long. And they just demolished that offensive line. And that offensive line had issues. You had injuries. And because of COVID, some guys just didn't come back for the season. So they're kind of completely just hit with injuries. And then they met a team with a fantastic front four. And they got demolished. And Patrick Mahomes could not stay upright the entire game. Couldn't get a lot of clear passing lanes. Now, Patrick Mahomes is so good. He doesn't need great passing lanes, but he needs something. He does need something. And that Tampa Bay defense just shut down that Kansas City Chiefs offense in a way I didn't think anybody could really do. And them trading for Orlando Brown is just a signal to Patrick Mahomes that is not going to happen again. We're not going to let you out there to dry like that ever again. We're going to protect you to the best of our ability. And here's one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL to do it. And I really respect that. I like the way they handle that situation. And I hope, it pans out for the Chiefs. Hopefully Patrick Mahomes can get, because right now he's the only person with even the slightest chance to catch Brady as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I don't think he ever will, because the sustained level of dominance Brady had, 20 years, 10 Super Bowl appearances, 7 championships. Nobody's touching that. Nobody's touching that anytime soon. Patrick Mahomes is the only guy who's got even the remotest of chances. Now, we're going to get back to where we said we were going to start. The NBA, the Nets, my God, Kevin Durant is essentially back to square one. Sorry about that. James Harden has a setback with his quad injury. Was it thigh injury? It doesn't really matter, but he was supposed to be out 7 to 10 days. But it looks like he re-aggravated his hamstring during his rehab for it, and looks like he pushed himself too hard and re-aggravated his injury, set him back to step one. From what I'm hearing, James Harden will not be playing in the regular season. He's probably going to be out until the playoffs, and this is a major setback for the Brooklyn Nets, because I don't think the Nets can win a championship this year. I just don't. The Kyrie, Harden, and Durant have played a total of 186 minutes, 7 games. 7 games. They've got 15 games left in the schedule. Harden will probably not be back until the playoffs. If I was the Nets, I would keep him out to the playoffs, just not to aggravate that injury. They've played. We give them a total of about 22 games, but that's not going to happen. The playoffs are set to start in a month, and the chances are they are sitting right now at the number one overall seed, number one seed in the Eastern Conference, with, I want to say, what is it, the third best record in the league behind the Utah Jazz and the Phoenix Suns. Actually, fourth best record behind the LA Clippers as well. The Clippers are having a fantastic regular season. Still don't care. But we're not talking about the Clippers, we're talking about the Nets. The Nets just haven't played together enough for me to trust that these three guys are going to be able to go in a 7-game series. I just don't trust it. And I'm a fan. And I've never loved the way Harden played in Houston, but his game has changed. And he's changed the most in Brooklyn. Kyrie still does Kyrie things. James Harden has become much more of a passer. He doesn't hold the ball as long because he has guys who he knows he needs to get the ball to in Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Problem is, Kevin Durant had like a thigh injury early in the year, and Kyrie Irving's has missed games, not due to injury, but due to him and to load management and him and his goddamn sabbaticals. His vacations, his personal days in the middle of the year. And if we knew what these personal days were about, I probably wouldn't be so irritated by it. But make no mistake, I can't stand it. These personal days are getting on my goddamn nerves. They make me want to tear Kyrie's goddamn face off. And I love his game. I've said it before on the show. If I could play like any singular player in the NBA, it would be like him. His offensive skills are just, they're out of this world. He may be the most offensively gifted player. He might be the most skilled player, offensively skilled player the game has ever seen. More skilled than Harden. His handles are ridiculous. He's the best below the rim finisher I've ever seen. His layup package is the greatest in NBA history. He can do it with either hand, left or right. He can do it off either foot, left or right. He doesn't play above the rim. He plays, like I said, greatest below the rim finisher, maybe in NBA history. And I absolutely love the way his game is. James Harden might be the best pure scorer the game has ever seen, especially off the dribble. He may be that's the person who I love his game in Brooklyn. Didn't love it in Houston. I thought it was way too much isolation. In Brooklyn, he seems to be playing more of a team game, and I like it. Their defense isn't great. It's gotten better as the year has gone on. But this setback is going to keep them from winning a championship, because if those three guys aren't on the same page offensively and defensively, I don't think that they can beat. I think they're going to have trouble in the second round against the Milwaukee Bucks or the Boston Celtics. 'Cause I'm not sold on Milwaukee as it is, but they could have trouble with. So I'm not sold. Milwaukee could lose in the first round. Boston has had a terrible season. They've had a terrible season, but they could lose in the first round to the Boston Celtics. And I think they will lose to the Philadelphia 76ers. I think the Philadelphia 76ers, who've been playing together all year, I think they're going to be your team into the NBA Finals against whoever comes out of the West. My pick is the Los Angeles Lakers, because LeBron James is coming back next week. Anthony Davis is healthy, and he's still getting into rhythm. I know the first two games back didn't go great against the Dallas Mavericks, but the Dallas Mavericks are a playoff team. They didn't go great, but as long as they can stay in that 5 seed, because that's what I want. They need to stay in that 5 seed, which means they need to start winning games. They need to start winning. I know they've lost 3 straight, but they need to start winning games. And even in the first round, because I think you're probably going to have, because I think the Heat, because right now, if the playoffs were to start today, the play-in matchups are Miami-Charlotte. I think Miami wins that one. I love Charlotte, but I think Miami wins that one. They're the more experienced team. I think they win that one, and they face Philadelphia in the first round, and I think Philly beats them. And then you have Charlotte. And then in the second play-in game, you have Indiana and Washington. I got Washington's the hottest team in the NBA right now. They're playing the way I thought they were going to be playing most of the season. And at the point where I thought instead of the Knicks being at the Knicks or the Hawks being at the 4-5, I thought it was going to be Washington in that 4-5 matchup. But they're essentially hitting their stride at essentially the right time. And I can't wait to see that. Give me 1 second. I will be back. Sorry about that. I was quite rudely interrupted. And now I kind of lost my place. Where was I? Believe. What the hell was I talking about? I'm trying to remember. Yeah. I was about the injuries to James Harden, Kevin Durant's return, the Nets. Yes. Play-in tournament, which is where I was. Like I said, the Washington Wizards hitting their stride at the right time of the year, playing the Indiana Pacers, who, as hot as the Wizards are, they'll beat the Pacers. They'll beat the Pacers, which means they'll probably be facing Charlotte in the third play-in game. Now, I think I would like to see Charlotte win, mainly because I just like Charlotte. I love that team. I think they're so talented, and I love LaMelo Ball. And by the time this play-in happens, LaMelo Ball will most likely be back. He's pretty much healed from his wrist injury. He could be back. He'll probably be back in a week or so. And him hitting the playoffs, I think, would be a great little thing for the NBA. LaMelo Ball, but I think the Wizards could give the Nets some real problems. I think if the Charlotte Hornets are completely healthy, they could give the Nets some real problems. They're a very talented offensive team with LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, PJ Washington, and Gordon Hayward, but none of those guys are overly healthy at the present moment. So for me, I would say that the Nets will definitely get past the first round. They could face some serious trouble in the second round. That series is probably going 7. And in the third round against the Philadelphia 76ers, with the Sixers having Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons. I mean, nobody on the Nets is guarding Joel Embiid. You get Blake Griffin the hell out of here. Blake Griffin has never been a great defender, and he's never been an overly good defender. He's been average to adequate. And yeah, Blake Griffin's been average to adequate, and this team needs something more than that. They need a better defensive center because Joel Embiid is going to eat Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan alive in this 7-game series. And you are probably going to want Claxton on Harris, and Simmons is probably going to guard Durant. Thibault's either going to guard. You're going to have Thibault guard probably Harden and have Hill guard Kyrie. So the Sixers are definitely the better defensive team. And although Kevin Durant's a very good defender, I don't know how well it's going to match up with the way they are right now. But honestly, without question, I'm very much more interested in the Sixers are probably the Sixers could even make it to the 1 seed. And if the Sixers, with Brooklyn's injury to James Harden and their schedule getting tougher and Philly getting healthy and their schedule getting easier, there's a very good chance that this could swap and Philly moves up to 1, Brooklyn moves down to 2, and Brooklyn has to face Miami in the first round. And if I'm the Brooklyn Nets, I want no parts of Miami in the first round. To be honest, I want no parts whatsoever of Miami in the first round. I would not love to face Washington in the first round either. They beat Washington, but it's not going to be an easy series. Not even remotely. Kevin Durant had a bit of an injury, missed like 4 games, and then came back and kind of just reminded the entire world that he's the most naturally gifted scorer in the NBA. Came off the bench in this one against the Phoenix Suns. Sorry, I did not get to watch this game. I was at work when this game happened, but I did get a chance to watch the highlights. Kevin Durant, 12 for 21, 2 for 3 from 3, 33 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Like I said, 33 points in about 28 minutes. Kyrie Irving had 34 points and 12 assists, which is rare for him. That actually might be a career high for him in assists. I don't think he's ever had 12 assists. He doesn't get double-digit assists often. But Joe Harris had 10, Jeff Green had 10, along with a monster dunk on the Phoenix Suns. It was wild. But Kyrie Irving completely outplayed Chris Paul in this game. I wouldn't say completely outplayed, but he did kind of outplay Chris in this game. Devin Booker gave you a solid 36 points, a very solid 36 points. DeAndre Ayton gave you 20 and 13. But they beat the Phoenix Suns, and the Phoenix Suns is not the team they're going to face coming out of the Western Conference. The Phoenix Suns are immensely talented, but they don't have the experience. I know Chris Paul has the experience himself, but this is going to be Devin Booker's first playoff series. This is going to be DeAndre Ayton's first playoff series, Mikal Bridges' first playoff series. I think this team, with the exception of Chris Paul and Jay Crowder, this team does not have a lot of playoff experience. They just don't. So I would not be shocked if they're not. I don't think they're going to struggle in the Western half of the NBA's bracket, because they're probably going to face the winner of Portland and Memphis from the play-in games. And while the Portland Trailblazers are streaking at the wrong time in the year, this was a chance for them to kind of move up to that 5th spot, maybe knock the Lakers down to 6, but that's not what happened. They're streaking at the very, very wrong time, and they're slid themselves back into the play-in tournament, while the Dallas Mavericks, who've won, I believe, 3 straight. Let me check that to make sure. Yeah, Dallas Mavericks have won 3 straight, so they slid up to the number 6 spot. They're a game and a half back of the number 5 spot behind the Lakers, with about 15, 16 games left to play. The Lakers are 4-6 in their last 10. They've lost their last 3. The Mavericks are 5-5. They've won their last 3. The Portland Trailblazers have lost 5 straight. The Memphis Grizzlies have won 2 straight. The San Antonio Spurs have won 2 straight. The Warriors are 7-3 in their last 10. They've won 2 straight. The Pelicans are in complete disarray right now. The Oklahoma City Thunder have lost 13 straight. They're tanking. And the Minnesota Timberwolves are the Minnesota Timberwolves. Get the hell out of here. And the Houston Rockets are in just shambles after trading away James Harden. Just in complete shambles. They looked good for like the first, I want to say like 5 or 10 games after the trade, and then they just caught fire and it was over. Just whoosh. Burning ash is what that is. But back to the Nets. Just a immensely talented team that hasn't played enough games together because it's easy to win a game when, okay, you got a game here and then a game here and then a game here. But when a team can like focus on you for for 7 games. And Steve Nash is a new coach. But when a team can focus on you for 7 games, when you are the only thing on their mind, that's going to be the real test to see how good this Brooklyn team actually is. Now we're going to move on to a couple games last night before I get to the Los Angeles Lakers of it all. A couple of games that took place last night. The Charlotte Hornets and the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics, disappointing. Just disappointing. Jason Tatum, 6 for 16. Jaylen Brown, 8 for 22. Kemba Walker, 7 for 17. The Evan Fournier trade. Evan Fournier, 0 for 3. He played 20 minutes. 0 for 3 from the field. 0 for 2 from 3. Nothing. This team is... They signed Jabari Parker, which does nothing for them. Does absolutely nothing. Does absolutely nothing for them. The signing of Tristan Thompson, once again, not doing much for them. This team, I don't know if they... I think they might need a new coach. I think they might need a new coach who's better at dealing with superstars. Because I think Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are potential superstars in this league. And I just don't think that Brad Stevens is the best coach for them. Or they need to do a lot of trades. Maybe Kemba Walker has not lived up to the billing. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are great, but this team is not well built around them right now. It's just not. This honestly, I'm gonna be real. This is a bad roster. I'm looking up and down this roster. This is a bad roster. With the exception of Tatum, Brown, Smart, maybe Walker. Walker hasn't played well. This is a bad roster, except for the outside of 3 to 4 players. Because Walker, I don't know how well, because he has not been playing well. I don't know how he fits on this team. I don't think he does fit on this team. I think they're probably going to need to trade him. But I mean, aside from like those 3 guys, this is a bad roster. It's a poorly put together roster. Now over to the Charlotte Hornets. Devontae Graham, who stepped back into the starting lineup after LaMelo Ball got hurt. After I think he broke his wrist. Devontae Graham, 24 points, 9 assists. Terry Rozier, 21 points, 11 assists. PJ Washington, 22 points, 12 rebounds. And Cody Martin, 13 points, 10 rebounds. Miles Bridges, 20 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. What more is there to say? You had Brad Wanamaker off the bench, give you 12 points on 6 of 12 shooting. The Charlotte Hornets are a team that I've kind of been raving about all year. I love the way they play. I love their tenacity. They're young, talented. I think Devontae Graham and Terry Rozier, along with LaMelo Ball, are a great 3-guard kind of combination. I wouldn't be surprised. You could move, because people forget LaMelo's about 6'7". So when he gets stronger and starts filling out, you could move him to the 3 and have all 3 of those guys play together. Because LaMelo would be the primary ball handler because he's the best ball handler and passer on this team. Devontae Graham and Terry Rozier. You could play Terry Rozier off the 2, Devontae in the spotted position, PJ Washington in the dunker spot, Miles Bridges just balling out. I love the Charlotte Hornets. Absolutely adore this team. I want to see them make the playoffs. I don't know if they can beat the Miami Heat. If they're completely healthy, if they had Gordon Hayward completely healthy, I think they might be able to. I'm not sure. I think they could beat. I think they could beat the Miami Heat in the play-in tournament. And I hope, because Gordon Hayward's been balling out this year, but like I said, he's missed. Last game he played was on the 2nd. I believe, when was this? Yeah, 2nd of April. So he's been out like 4 weeks. Yeah, so he should be, according to Shams, he'll miss about 4 weeks. He should be back relatively soon. I would be surprised if he's back next week. That's a week before the regular season. If he can get healthy, back into shape, and he'll be a fantastic asset. I think they'll be great. I think they'd have if they're completely healthy, I think they'd have a legitimate chance at beating the. I think they'd have a legitimate chance at beating the. I think they beat the. God, I don't know why I'm like stuttering right now. Something like I can't stop. It's like I just stopped thinking. But I'd go with I think they could beat the Miami Heat if they're fully healthy, and if Miami's fully healthy, I think Miami's a better coached team. So I think they could beat them. I don't think they will beat them. That's pretty much it on them. The Washington Wizards extended their win streak to what was it? 9? 8. They're 9-1 in the last 10. They've extended their winning streak to 8 wins. Russell Westbrook, 14 points. He only got 14 points, 11 rebounds. Bradley Beal, 33 points. More there to say. What's more than there to say? They kind of beat up on the Cleveland Cavaliers a bit. Darius Garland has been balling out as of late. He's just hooping lately. I mean, his last 5 games, 28 points, 27 points, 25 points, 23 points, 22 points. Yeah, they lost 4 of their last 5, but he's averaging 18 points for the year. It's his sophomore season. You can clearly see that he's getting better. But I don't know how him and, what's his name? Colin Sexton. I don't know how him and Colin Sexton are going to work together. I think one of those guys, I think you're probably going to have to. Neither one of them are primary or pass first point guards. So you're going to have to take some chances with those 2. So one of them's probably going to end up having to go. If they both don't leave, because who the fuck wants to stay in Cleveland? But we're going to take a short break. And then when we get back, we're going to finish up with the Los Angeles Lakers. Ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 29 of the SJP Files Sports Report. All right, sorry for the short break. Back again now. As promised, the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers have been on a skid that they've managed to keep themselves above water with the injuries to LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Now, sorry about that. Anthony Davis is back with about 3 weeks left in the season. Actually, not even 3 weeks, like 2 weeks left in the season. Played his very first game. Played about 16 minutes. Shot 2 for 10. 4 points, 4 rebounds. Andre Drummond had 14 points, 19 rebounds. Caldwell Pope had 29 points. Dennis Schroeder had 25 and 13. His first game back was against the Dallas Mavericks. And second game back also against the Dallas Mavericks. Second game, he was much better. 29 points. He had 28 minutes, 17 points. Well, he wasn't much better because he still shot 5 for 19 from the field. And in the first game, he shot, 4 for 10? Yeah. So he's still out of rhythm on offense. He's still offensively out of rhythm. 7 of 8 from the free throw line. Good for him. He's not rebounding yet. But, he's getting there. He's getting healthy. And the Lakers, and remember, and Anthony Davis, as good as Anthony Davis is, this team still needs LBJ. The question is, Anthony Davis hasn't played in like 4 months. He's done 4 months. He hasn't played in like 4 months. And this is a very different team than what he played with. Ben McLemore wasn't on this team. Andre Drummond wasn't on this team. Those 2 big names are 2 guys who are playing big minutes. Ben McLemore played damn near 30 minutes in this game. Andre Drummond, same thing. Damn near 30 minutes in this game. So those three guys introducing into this, they're going to have a similar problem to what the Nets had, to what the Nets might have, because this is a different team than what you had last year. Because Kyle Kuzma's here, Markieff Morris is here, Alex Caruso, Kyle Kuzma, Anthony Davis, Markieff Morris, Alex Caruso, Talen Horton-Tucker, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. That's the 6 guys plus LeBron James. That's the 7 guys who were on this team last year. New faces: Andre Drummond, Ben McLemore, Dennis Schroeder, Marc Gasol, Wesley Matthews, Devontae Cook, Montrezl Harrell. So Devontae Cook, I think Devontae. So that's 6 new players. Andre Drummond and most of these guys, and for Andre Drummond and Beck McLemore, they haven't been on this team the whole year. They just got back. They just got here. Andre Jordan's been on this team for like a couple weeks, and he missed like a week due to a toe injury. So he's getting healthier. But if this team can get healthier, because right now where they're at is the 5 seed, which means they'll be playing Denver in the first round. Now, hopefully they can stay in that 5 seed area and not get, tripped up by Dallas, because I don't want them facing the Clippers in the first round. I think that's a dangerous matchup for a team that's just getting healthy, who will just be getting healthy heading into the playoffs. And for the Clippers, for myself personally, the best case scenario for the Lakers is either to stay at 5 or to go down to 7. Not 7, 8. Either stay at 5 or go down to 8. That's the best case scenario for the Lakers. Because I don't want you at 6. I don't want you at 7. You either stay at 5 or you go down to 8. I think that's the best case scenario, because I think they could beat the Utah Jazz, no question. I think they could crush the Jazz in the first round, without question. I think the Nuggets are a tougher series. I still think they'll beat the Nuggets. If I had to guess, I'd say they beat the Nuggets in, I want to say 6, because LeBron James will just be getting back from his injury. Anthony Davis will still, I don't know, he might be like healthy. It's about 15 games, give or take, depending on the team, how many games you've played, but like 14, 15 games for the Lakers remaining, I want to say. So the play-ins will start about a month from now on May 18th. The playoffs start May 22nd. So yes, I think the Lakers will be completely healthy, and they'll probably beat the Nuggets in 5 or 6. This is a better Lakers team, better offensively, better. I would say they're not as good defensively, because they're not as long and athletic defensively as they were last year. Because last year they had Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee. Now it's Marc Gasol and Andre Drummond. Montrezl Harrell's not a great defender. He's an okay defender. He's been a better defender on this team, but he's not a great defender. Andre Drummond is he's not the athletic defender that Dwight Howard is. So that kind of limits you. And he's, like I say, he's not a great but he's a very good offensive big man. He's a great rebounder, probably the best rebounder in the league, which helps with defense, ladies and gentlemen. And I know that people say, well, defense doesn't win. Offense and defense wins championships. That's what actually wins championships. It's not defense, it's offense and defense that win the championships. That's what helps. That's what helps. That's without question what helps defense. Great rebounding. And that's what the Lakers were. They ended possessions with rebounds. And when you end a possession with a rebound like that, hey man, that's just how it is. Now, right now, the Lakers are, 20th in offensive rating and 1st in defensive rating, 8th in net rating. They're 20th in offensive rating because Anthony Davis and LeBron James I think Anthony Davis has missed like 40 games and LeBron James has missed like 20. That's why they're 20th in offensive rating. But at the beginning of the year, they were top 5 in offense and top 5 in defense. And when LeBron James and Anthony Davis finds his footing and LeBron James is back, they'll be top 5 in both categories. They'll be one of the best offensive teams in the league. They'll be one of the defensive teams in the league. This 20 games rest will do a world of love for LeBron James. And when LeBron James starts crushing players in the playoffs again, we will be reminded once again that he is the greatest, not only just in today's game, but arguably the greatest of all time. For me, it's not arguable. I think he is the greatest of all time, but it's not. But even if you were to say Jordan's the greatest of all time, the gap between the two guys isn't large enough for me to pull my hair out. When people say, oh, LeBron James is greater or Jordan's greater, the gap between them is not that big. It's not. It's minuscule at best. We're talking about the greatest players of all time. You start nitpicking here and there. Start nitpicking, records, stuff like how did this team play without him, all that other stuff. But in my opinion, LeBron James is the greatest of all time, and I think he's going to add. I think they're going back to back this year because I don't see anyone in either conference beating a fully healthy Lakers team. I just don't see it. A 100% fully healthy Lakers team. I think they crushed the Nuggets. I think if the Lakers were going fully healthy into the playoffs right now, I think they beat the Nuggets, especially with the injury to Jamal Murray. I think they beat the Nuggets in 4. They might even sweep the Nuggets, honestly. I know Nikola Jokic is just balling out right now, but without Jamal Murray, with Jamal Murray playing the greatest basketball of his life in the bubble, and the Lakers still crushed the Nuggets in 5. Lakers still beat the brakes off them in 5 games. So I don't see much changing now. It's 5 or 6 game series. Same thing with the Phoenix Suns. If the Phoenix Suns are probably going to win their first round series. But like I said, Chris Paul and Jay Crowder are the only 2 guys on that team who have any real playoff experience, while the Lakers team is kind of laden with playoff experience. Kyle Kuzma, Anthony Davis. Andre Drummond doesn't have a lot of playoff experience, neither does Ben McLemore, but Dennis Schroeder has some playoff experience. Markieff Morris, Alex Caruso, Taylor Horton-Tucker, Marc Gasol, Wesley Matthews, Montrezl Harrell. All these guys have playoff experience. The Phoenix Suns, most of their roster, with the exception of 2 guys, are going to be playing in their first playoff series. They're going to win their first playoff series against whether it's Portland or Memphis or whoever winds up in that 7th seed. They'll probably win that series in 6 and then fall to the Lakers in 5 or 6. And then you're going to have your matchup. Now, the Clippers are playing great basketball, but they're not healthy either. Kawhi Leonard went down with an ankle injury. Don't know when he's going to be coming back. Dallas gave the Clippers all they could handle last year, and I still say it, if the Mavericks were healthy and if Kristaps Porzingis had stayed healthy and Marcus Morris didn't try to, bend Luka Doncic's ankle in the wrong direction, then I firmly believe they beat the Clippers in the first round. Clippers go down in the first round last year. Now this year, this is a better Clippers team. It's a better coached Clippers team. This is a more focused Clippers team. This is a more cohesive Clippers team. I still do not trust Pandemic P in the playoffs. He's still going to give you 1 or 2 games a series where he just doesn't show up. I still think the Clippers are going to win, and they're going to probably face the Utah Jazz in the second round. They're probably going to beat the Jazz and make their first conference finals and then fall to the Lakers. I think it's going to be a great series, and by that time, the Lakers are going to be in full stride. By that time, the Lakers are going to be, after beating the Nuggets and I think the Suns, the Lakers are going to be in full stride. And I think LeBron James is going to be out to prove that Kawhi Leonard is not in his league anymore. I think that's what he's going to be out to prove. I think he's going to be out to prove that Kawhi Leonard isn't on his level anymore. isn't and has never been on his level. And I think they're going to beat the Clippers in 5. I think LeBron James is going to want to make a statement, essentially an example out of the Clippers. I think Paul George is going to shrink in the moment. I love Rajon Rondo. Playoff Rondo is a real thing, but I think LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers are going to want to make a statement by demolishing the Los Angeles Clippers, and I think that's what's going to happen. And then they're going to face the Philadelphia 76ers in the finals. The Philadelphia 76ers lack some playoff experience themselves. They've taken their lumps in the playoffs. They have taken their lumps, and I can't wait to see that series. I think it'll be a fantastic series, a series that could very well go 7 games. That's the type of series I would love to see. The Phoenix Suns and the Los Angeles Lakers in the NBA Finals. That's my pick. That is my pick, and that's how I think it's going to go down. Lakers in, I want to say 6 or 7. LeBron wins his 5th championship. Lakers go back-to-back. That's how I see it. Brooklyn, they're going to have their chance next year. It's just that this year, too many injuries, COVID-19. I think everybody's going to get their shots by the time next year rolls around. So I think everybody's going to be fine. I think next year will be the Nets' chance to win their championship, because I think they're going to have a cohesive unit. And if everybody can stay healthy and Kyrie Irving can, stop taking his personal days, the Nets will steamroll the Eastern Conference. If they're 100% healthy, they're going to have to tweak the roster a little bit, get some big help in there, get a big man who could, play defense against Joel Embiid and Giannis Antetokounmpo. But next year will be the Nets' time. This year, it's still the Lakers. And then next year, I think you'll get your Lakers-Nets final. Because I think the Lakers have a great, like I said, last year when the Lakers won their championship, LeBron James has put himself in position to essentially three-peat to get to 6 championships. And three-peat's the one thing he hasn't done in his career. He's gone back-to-back. He's never three-peated. Jordan has 2 three-peats. I think a three-peat. Kobe has a three-peat. I think even though that's more Shaq's three-peat than Kobe's three-peat, but Kobe does have a three-peat. LeBron getting a three-peat would, to me, without question, cement his legacy as the greatest of all time, to the point where it's going to be was it really a question? It's not really going to be a question. If LeBron James three-peats, I think they have a great chance to. I think they'll win this year, and then next year, hopefully Anthony Davis takes that leap we all thought he was going to take this year into the MVP conversation. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for episode 29 of the SJP Files. I am your host, SJP, and today has been an interesting recording. It started off the show a little slow, lethargic, but as you can see, as the show went on, got better, got more into it, got a little more hype. But once again, you listen to the show, drop a like, subscribe, share, let people know that the SJP Files is here and we doing work.